Alright guys, so today's lesson I'm going to be going over how to find trade setups and at least how I find my trade setups. I go heavily into this in my class, so I won't be going into extreme detail. But first things first, I'm gonna be going over a few things before we start that. Okay, so um, the dollar index, um, we bounce from support. We're holding the support. So as long as this remains bullish, risk on assets such as crypto and equity markets are going to be bearish. However, while this has been going down, the markets have been going down as well. It's one of those rare phenomenons when I have no idea how to explain it. We're in war, or there's a war happening, and this is why I haven't taken any positions. I haven't called anything. If you guys are trading, I recommend trading spot. Being trading leverage for the next few days, possibly weeks, is going to be very tough. There's going to be more losses than wins. So, and I'm not bagging on any analyst. I'm just telling you guys the truth. Like if I were to give a call, I have no idea how the market's going to react. That's why I haven't been able to do so. I can give analysis, sure, but calls is it's just one quick headline, and the markets can pump or dump, right? There could be news that hey, tomorrow the U.S. joins somehow because they've taken hostages, right? And I'm not going to be talking about war, but it's not going to be clear, and it doesn't matter if you have high time frame levels set on your charts, support resistance. One negative news is going to create a wick like this. Okay, it gives no fucks about your levels. It's going to break through them. So my last recommendation, and I'll stop saying this, I've mentioned it multiple times on my Twitter and my channel. If you guys are trading, I would trade with reduced size than you have been doing with the past few weeks. Okay, um, we have no idea how this is going to play out. Okay, as we saw today, Bitcoin, dumped up, down, all $400 moves in a matter of like 3 hours, right? So if you have no clear read on the market, it's okay to not be in a position, right? That being said, the dollar is holding support. It hit my 107.2 where I said we get a little pullback. Um, we were supposed to get a little runoff on alts as well, but we pulled back and so did the market. Everything died with the dollar. And again, it's one of those phenomenons that I don't know how to explain. That being said, um, I'm just in my Bitcoin short right now. I took 60 or 70% of my position off. I'm still waiting for my final TP to hit. Stop losses break even. It's a risk-free trade. Um, so I'm going to be going over how I find my position or how I find my setups, and they're really easy. I don't use any indicators. It's just lines. If I use indicators, it's only as confluence. But I don't like asking for help. I don't like using anything outside of where my lines are. My streams are always recorded for YouTube, yeah. So that being said, let's start with a few coins. I'm going to start with Sol. Okay, so first things first. Actually, I want that chart. All right. First things first, undress your chart. Okay, clear all the levels so you can start from scratch. And I start on a higher time frame, such as the daily, and I go down. Right, so place your high time frame resistances and supports. Okay, so resistance. Okay, resistance. Okay, we have support. This is actually an SR level. Hopefully my students now understand what an SR is. Okay, support. And support. Okay, an SR level is once it has broken out. It's a level that hasn't been retested as support yet. There could be resistance. SR levels as well. Search and rescue. Um, this is established support. We flipped it into support. Same with here. It was previously resistance. Battle of the Bulls and the Bears. We broke out, flipped it to support. So this became a support level as well. These are daily supports. Okay. Then you go down on the 4 hour. And for my students, and for anyone else, I'd recommend, if you aren't familiar with where the levels came from, to go ahead and label them, right? So this was daily support, right? Let's go back on the daily so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Daily support, SR, daily support. This is daily resistance, daily res. Okay, then you go on the 4 hour and you mark your levels. Okay, so 4 hour resistance. Oops. Okay. We have a demand zone. So plot your supply and demand zones. Okay. I went over the whole demand zone lesson a few times. Again, full video on my YouTube as well on how I play those. We have a supply zone. Okay. This was a demand zone as well. This had missed my original bids by 5 cents, so I canceled that play. I don't want it to get to this price again because we missed it and then we had a 5% move up. Okay, so this becomes an even riskier play, right? We have support here, 4 hour, previously resistance. We broke out. It was an SR level. Once we broke out, we retested it, held support. Again, bounced from support, went higher, and we're holding it briefly. The more touches of support and resistance, the weaker they get. Okay, and as we can see, since yesterday, we're in a range here, right? It's been, here's your resistance, here's your support. So the play has been shorting resistance, longing support until broken. We go on a lower time frame. You can place more levels if you want, but because I'm a swing trader, I just trade the daily and the 4 hour. Okay, if I want to scalp, I'll go lower. So based off these lines, I have enough data, okay, that I know where I'm going to be entering trades, right? So I mentioned in my little analysis video that I posted yesterday that this supply zone was one that I was going to short, okay? Now, you can play this two ways. Now you can add more confluence. You can't just draw boxes, right? This is also an SR level. Support, we lost it. This became SR. We haven't retested it. So not only do I have an SR level, I have a supply zone as well. Now you can have two different ways of playing it, okay? You can scalp it where you have like a 2% risk, or if you want to swing trade it, you enter here, you can DCA at this resistance, and then you can DCA one more time up here, and you have your stop loss above this wick. Okay, right? So you choose how you want to play it. So it can be that or scalp, right? And your TPs for shorts and longs, if you're shorting, your TPs are going to be levels of support or when you're happy with profits, and your TPs for longs are going to be resistances or when you're happy with profits. No one's going to tell you when to sell. That's on you. If you round trip profits, don't be mad at analysts. You have the opportunity to take profits. Okay. So this is the play that I'm looking at. Okay. Doesn't matter where I draw the end of these TPs. TPs again are based off resistances and supports. Okay. Now I can take this further on, and if we have order blocks, I can add order blocks, right? But this is supply and demand zones. We have order blocks within the demand zone and the supply zones. Here is a 4-hour order block that actually got filled and rejected from it perfectly, right? So I'm just showing this. I know this is hindsight trading. What happened to all my data? Can you guys still hear me? Okay. I guess just trading view was tweaking. All right. There it is. Okay. So we had an order block, right? If you had this huge decline and you had set up that trade from the order block, we also had the resistance. That was the setup that you could have taken, something like that. Okay, but it already filled, so I'm just showing you, like, instead of supply demand zones, the other stuff you can have set up is your order blocks, and I have mine different colors usually. Supplies are going to be reds, demand zones are going to be gray, order blocks are going to be this teal color. Okay, you have our lines. Now, the more confluence you can find for your trade, the higher you're going to be comfortable with it, right? So for example, here is a trendline support that's been holding, and here is a trendline resistance, right? So these wicks are above it, it doesn't matter. Candle still closed below, this is still resistance, and you need three definite points of touch for the trend line to be confirmed. 1, 2, 3, right? Again, here's the fourth one. 1, 2, 17. And then we see that SOL is in a downtrend. Okay, we have confluence with a support currently. It bounced right from it again, right? It's in a 4-hour range here. You can go a low time frame, a more range. It looks kind of like a bull flag, but for me, in order to long, there's two areas that I need to long, and I talked about confirmation. Okay, either it breaks out of here, which I think it's going to reject once we hit it, because it is a supply zone with an SR area. We long the successful retest, or we notice that this here was previously support. Okay, it was support. We lost it. It became SR. Okay, we broke out, flipped it to support there. So we need to flip this to support to also long. This would be a scalp if you flip it. Okay, we've been rejecting 3 touches. So flip this resistance to support. You can long with stops on a lower time frame. It'll be something like this with your stop loss probably somewhere here. Okay, and you're going to target that supply zone. But until that happens, there should be no reason to long here. We have no SFP. Yes, we bounced from support. If you were longing support, you would have longed it. You don't long in the middle of the range. So for me, either SOL flips this and we long, okay, breaks out of this bull flag successfully, we long. We're going to take that short attempt, or this over here. Okay, now I'm going to move this up a little bit because we did have resistance, resistance, resistance. We also had an inverse head and shoulders here. Okay, so we broke out, but we never retested this neckline for this inverse head and shoulders. That is why I have my bids placed there. So that is one confluence with the SR support. Okay, we have the demand zone. You can possibly draw. No, you can't draw a trend line because there's no 3 touches. Nope. So I have no confluence there. Maybe if I... One, two, three, four, sure. Another confluence for it to come back down there, right? So one, two, three confluences for this long. Also, it's a retest of this neckline. Okay, so I have my confluence for taking this long. My stop loss is within my risk tolerance. I have my short setup. Okay, but again, this is how you find your setups, right? So you start from clean chart, place your support resistances on a higher time frame, trickle down to a lower time frame, find those supply demand zones. Okay, if you are an EMA trader, you can turn your EMAs on. Okay, this is the 200 EMA. It's the only one that I currently use. Look, if we do come back down here, so see how whenever we were above the 200 EMA, we continued higher until we lost it, right? Rejected below. Then we got above it. This EMA is also in confluence with this demand zone here. So although I canceled my bids, this could be a possible long attempt as well on the EMA with the demand zone. Now, this has to happen soon because it's going to further, it looks like it's going up, right? So either it goes up or it comes back down like this, right? So keep your eye out on the 200 EMA. Again, I only use it for confluence, right? Um, and then if you want, you can draw fibs for confluence as well, right? So I only use basically the golden pocket. This golden pocket lies within my short area as well. So this is a perfect DCA point for that short. But again, I only use fibs for confluence. I don't like to use them solely by themselves. If I have my support and resistance lines, I will use that. I only use fibs basically for coins that are going into price discovery or trying to find that golden pocket for extra confluence on the short. All right. So let me read some questions here. Do you put your SR levels at the top of the wick or the candle? It's going to be at the wicks because if you place it at the candles here, right, there's liquidity here. So it's going to grab all of these first. However, the resistance, this is resistance. You can see how these wicks happen above resistance. The candles close below. The For those that are trading, right, they're like, oh, I'm going to short here. Let's say you shorted there and you placed your stop loss above the wick. All right, you would have gotten stopped out on that wick. Okay, wicks usually means there's a liquidity pocket. So people that are shorting, they place stop losses above the wicks. Okay, um, this is why a lot of analysts or traders have soft stop losses because it takes the liquidity from above and then closes down. But also you can have what's called a swing failure that I've gone over a few times. Right, so here is a swing failure. Here's the wick. Here's the liquidity grab. We closed below. You would have shorted. You would have market shorted. Place your stop loss above the wick or a little bit higher. Maybe place it above there. Right, and then we went further down. So those that place stop losses above the wicks usually get stopped out a lot. Okay, because you have those run of liquidity. Here is your support. Right, I place my stop loss a little bit lower. Okay, that's what I usually do. Or if you're a confirmation trader, again, here's another SFP. Right, here's the highs, taken the wick below, and then dumped. If you're a confirmation trader, you wait for that to happen. So for example, on Sol, I'm going to go to a spot chart here. Let's go on the hour. It didn't happen on the spot chart. It happened. Okay, here we go. See how this candle here took the liquidity below, but it didn't close below? Look at the spot chart. The candle's over here, took it and closed above. Right? This is why it's important if you are trading leverage to be using the spot chart, or sorry, the perp chart and not the spot chart, because your levels are going to be completely off. Okay. So spot chart, we see we go back in time. Okay, here's the low. There's the liquidity grab. We closed above. That was your trigger to market long and place your stop loss below the wick. Okay. Don't worry if you missed that. What you can do is you can always place a limit at previous swing low. This is getting messy. One sec. Let me. Okay. Let's use this. I'm going to remove these lines really quickly. Okay. So that was your swing low, right? Here's your SFP. You mark it long. Stops below. And then you got a nice 2% move up. You would have never been stopped. Okay? I would have hoped that you took profits on the way up instead of waiting for the final TP to hit. A 2% move is a lot, especially if you're scalping. Okay? So that is what's called a confirmation trade. So you wait for the stops to be ran, you mark it long on a swing failure or a sweep of liquidity, and then you take profit on the way up. Okay. Your long limit is still valid for Sol. If it isn't, I would tell you. Sorry, I'm reading chats. One sec. What is my thought on Neil's Bitcoin long setup? I mean, I don't know what he gave. I don't check other analyst setups. Let me see. Setting a long limit for Bitcoin at 27,200 with a DCA. Hour. He sees support at 27,196, which is somewhere there. I mean, my chart's a little different than his. I don't know which exchange he's using, but on Bybit it's right there. Stop loss 27. I mean, technically it's a. So here's what I see. Okay. Just gonna call it there. Resistance, support, support. We're getting close to a trend line. If we break this trend line, we've had multiple touches and turn to resistance. We're going further down. He will get stopped out. Okay. Inverted scale as well. It looks like it wants to break out. This is a demand zone. So it needs to hold here. So if we were taking a long setup, it looks something like this. Yeah, basically what he has. resistance. I mentioned this yesterday. I think I deleted it when I was going over charts with my class. One sec. Yeah, I did. My call in the channel, I have to recreate the chart, but I'm looking to short 29K. Okay. I'm looking to short 29K. We have a daily order block, stop loss above here. We have resistance, and my DCA is going to be at 27. I think it was 200-ish. This is the same setup that I'm taking. Entry is going to be 10%, DCA 20%, and then I have my last DCA 27 or 29,700-ish. If this flips 27 or 29,700-ish to support, I will manually close out the trade. We have yet to do it. Last time we did it was over here. Okay. So I will manually close out the trade. Otherwise, my hard stop loss is up here. And I'm targeting sub 24K if we get it. Now, here's your left shoulder, here's your head, possible right shoulder forming. This would be the right shoulder top, and then going down. Other confluences for this short. If we are able to break 28K and turn into support, we will go higher. But until that happens, we should go lower. Okay, but Neo's long makes sense. Okay. The BNB short that I gave, a lot of people were asking me about it. The reason I shorted it was because we had broken down below the trend line on the daily. Okay, here was a bear flag. The target for this bear flag is 180, as I mentioned in my video. Okay, I had made the video when BNB was over here. We had a supply zone, we had an SR level, we hit the SR level in my personal DCA. If you had DCA, your average would have been close to here, and you would have had a 3% drop at its lowest, right? Okay. So that's how I set up everything. I start on the high time frame. I trickle down. Okay. Once you trickle down, you find your low time frame support and resistances. Add any confluence you may have, supply demand zones. Draw your patterns for confluences, but you shouldn't trade off patterns by itself. Okay. Have your setups already in play. So this is why I never market long anything. If you guys have seen my channel, I always set limits, right? The reason for that is because I set everything in advance. I know my risk management, how much I would lose if my stop loss were to get hit. And again, when I go to sleep, I cancel everything. So if I wake up and something had filled, I'm probably not in the trade. I'm going to update the trade as normal, but I'm not in the trade. I cancel everything when I go to bed. The reason for that is because I can't manage my trades. Okay, I know I have a stop loss for invalidation, but in the event that I want to change a swing trade into a scalp for something, or maybe like if something is up 3%, right? I would have taken profit on something that's up 3% unleveraged, right? But because I can't do that, I'm not risking it. And we don't know when we will have another event like this where we go from 23 down to 19 in a matter of 15 minutes, right? I'm not going to expose myself to unnecessary risk. So what I do is I have my trade log. I enter in all my DCAs if I have any, enter in all my trades. That way, if I do wake up in the morning, I just review my trade log, enter in the trades, the position size, the stop loss, everything. So it's nearly the same. Yep. So I'll take a few coins and I will do my top-down analysis from the top, give the potential setups, and then we'll go from there. So what coins you guys want to look at? I'm only doing two. The reason I don't want to do ETH is because I already covered it in my video. I gave my full top-down analysis, so I won't do ETH, I won't do Bitcoin, and I won't do Sol or BNB, because those are the four coins that I covered yesterday. All right. Okay, I already see three coins that I want to do. For Caleb, I will do BNX. Caleb has seniority. So let's do BNX first. What the fuck? Is TradingView just like on crack? Oh, this is the... Got it. This is after the... Got it, got it, got it. Obviously, I haven't traded BNX in a long time. Yeah, I'm not doing ADA. Alright, BNX. I'm going to start on the 4 hour because it doesn't make sense to do the daily. Right? So we have clear resistance here. Again, we went above, but we closed below. So this is still resistance. Let me check daily 1 sec really quickly. Alright, I already have my coins. You guys can stop suggesting. Okay. Support. We also have demand zone. We've already taken all these highs out. So here was... that supply zone filled per my definition. We've already taken liquidity. Okay, so here was... I mean, you can do any high, but this was the last swing high. Okay. And we're most likely going to close below it. Right? I don't like this candle. So I think a possible short if we do retest here. I don't want to place my stop loss above there. It's too high. I'm going to place my stop loss above this candle. Okay. Now, I don't know how this coin trades. It looks very illiquid because of that candle. Here's your trend line. Okay. Break down below. Retest this. That's a short with probably your stops above here. Otherwise, we can maybe retest here with your stop loss above this wick. Longs may be taken here. I don't know what this coin is or why this pump's happening, but the long should be taken with lower position size than the short, only because this coin looks very illiquid and can just burst through all that level. Okay, maybe long there, tighter stop. We have an order block down here. I don't like this coin. If we get to this resistance, also a short, I don't even know what BNX is. Yeah, those would be the setups. Okay. Second coin, OP. think I I think I went over this on my last stream. So OP took out the lows. Okay. Support. Hmm. We have an inverted cup and handle, inverted inverse head and shoulders. If you flip it back around, it looks like a head and shoulders. So it's a very important level to hold. Okay, we have our order block down here. So maybe one setup could be here. Right, I'm just going to place all of our resistances. Okay. So OP's in a range. Range highs, range lows, until broken. Okay, range highs have been tested like multiple times. Same with range lows. So until that until that happens, you're just gonna keep shorting range highs and range lows. Your short on a higher time frame will look as such. Right, back to range lows. These are your swing trades. I would have, once we had that sweep, right, of these lows, that was going to be the long trigger. Now on the 4 hour, okay, nope, not a valid trend line. You can have a low time frame trend line. Here is your 4 hour SR, which is in confluence with the next trend line touch. Small little order block. So a possible short the R&R isn't great. That's better. So there's the order block. Hopefully breaks out, wicks into here, and then just goes back down to range lows. Flip this back into support, right? Previously support here. We lost it, became an SR. And then we'll probably target mid-range, which is probably somewhere here. And then range highs. Okay? So wick, this will be a scalp play. So you're going to take profits quickly. Flip this back into support as we did over here. We'll target mid-range and then range highs from there. It'll also be in confluence with the bearish retest of this trend line. Right, SR, bearish retest. Yeah, I like this short. Oh, nice. You have the same thing, kind of. It's too high. Nah, it's... Yeah, I would set limits for that and play it that way. Hopefully wick into that. Okay. Last coin that I want to trade. It's a very liquid. I mean, I'm personally LGBTQ. Okay. There was the high. We had a swing failure, right, when lower. I'm just going to remove that. Still a supply zone we took the liquidity from. This is resistance. We currently possibly flipping it to support. If we're going to have another FU wick, then I'd set my short up from 1.75. Very small margin. Let's go the 4 hour really quickly to find the DCA point. DCA point probably comes here at 1.83. More margin than your entry. Okay. And then you can have one more DCA at 1.88 with your stop loss. Now, I would have a hard stop loss here above the wick. I don't think it's going to recover that. But your soft stop loss would be if it flips this to support 1.83ish. If it flips that to support on a low time frame, you may want to get out for a small loss and then reshort higher, right? Because if it does flip this to support, then I think it can go and take out these highs here, or you can start your short if you manually close at this resistance line around 1.89ish. Don't add DC on the way up. If it takes out this liquidity, meaning if swing failure is that high, you add on the way down, and then it should continue to just die down. Right? Like right now, all the volume is in these shitcoins. Low time frame. Little ascending triangle. Target, if it flips to support, will be around 1.64. That, I mean, 1.60 was previous support briefly. Okay, so I don't know. It's this coin's a liquid because of these wicks. So I would feel very uneasy trying to short this until it has a blow off top, like little FU candle, just like that. How would you know if it's an SFP and not just taking a breather before pushing up? So, if price is going up, volume's going down, right? It's a bearish divergence. So keep an eye out on that. That's why like you go in very low at entry. So if it does SFP, you add on the way down, and then you have your invalidations, right? So back on the daily, let's say it takes out this high, right? And your entry was, let's say, here at 1.88 or 1.89, right? Takes out the high, closes below this swing high level, okay? Closes above, or sorry, takes out the high, closes below, okay? You add on the way down. Now, when you add on the way down, your position should not be higher than your entry. So if you've gone in with like 20% of the margin that you want to allocate, then you should be less or equal to. So it brings down your average to about smack down in the middle, right? The more you add to your position on the way down or on the way up after you have a smaller entry, then it's going to fuck up with your average. So yes, we don't really know if it's going to completely take a breather before going down, but you have your invalidation level, right? So if it does SFP, then your stop loss is going to be moved above the wick that was created, right? So if you entered in here, SFP'd and closed there, then you would lower your position size to either above the wick or wherever, like if your entry, let's say you add to your position at 1.83 if you want, and your entry is here, right? And your original play was like this, right? So you only have your entry filled. You decide to add it down over here. Now your entry becomes this blue average line, right? You can move your stop loss to like there if you want to reduce your risk, right? Or if you feel overpositioned, you can keep the same stop loss, trim a little bit, and then keep the same stop loss. Your stop loss would be the same if you were to move it down here and get stopped out. Okay. LPT, you're stuck on LPT. Well, I don't know what LPT is, but it sounds like a shitcoin. What's your entry? Everything's a shitcoin to me. Even Bitcoin's a shitcoin. Alright. Previous support. Okay, support, support, support. Support's getting weaker. It hasn't broken out. Here is your resistance. Right, resistance. We flipped it to support there. Once we broke down, it became an SR. Rejected right from the SR level. It's in a downtrend. I don't think it's going to get to 6.0. I don't think it's going to get to 6.01. Where's your stop loss? If your entry is over here, what made you long that? I don't see any support there. If your entry was 6.01, which is here, your stop loss should have been right there. Oh, spot. Were you trying to play a breakout? Because breakout, you should play on the retest of the breakout. It needs to bounce from 5.7, but if it loses this, then it's making lows, new fresh lows. Yep. Don't the people that play breakouts, like they're anticipating breakouts, like they will be successful maybe 30%, 40% of the time. And those people that are successful will round trip the profits because usually breakouts on low time frames, unless it's like a, you know, high cap coin. Wait, hold on a sec. You might get a move up to this trend line again. Because here is your 15-minute resistance. If it flips that, then you'll go up 4 cents. Um, but those that are playing breakouts or anticipating breakouts, right? I would hope they're going in with low margin. So for example, on Sol, okay, this those that were anticipating this breakout here, okay, it made sense. Why? You had multiple touches of this resistance, plus you had consolidation under resistance that ended up breaking out. So if you were playing this bull flag, it kind of made sense. You'd have a tight stop or for validation, but for something that's in a downtrend, okay, just like LPT was, it was in a downtrend. You need to wait for the breakout. So like this, right? Downtrend, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? What's going to happen at this next lower high? Is it going to, you know, break out, or is it going to consolidate then go down to make another lower low? When you have something like this, you have to wait for the breakout and the retest to happen, right? Because if the retest happens, you have a very tight stop loss, probably somewhere around there, right? But if you're anticipating this breakout, yes, it could do something like this where it just goes up, right, in a quick 10, 5 minute candle, and then just dies, right? So this is what I mean by most people will round trip these profits because they're waiting for something higher on lower time frame, and all of a sudden you have this giant wick that comes back down below, stops you out, and then you cry. So if you're playing breakouts on low time frames, you better take that quick profit. Um, LPT LPT needs. Oops. Yeah, LPT looks heavy, even on the Bitcoin pairing. High time frame will always trump low time frame. Anyways, so that is my method. Again, get a clean chart. Start on a higher time frame, daily, um, and then trickle down to 4 hour, whatever you want to trade on. That way you have your high time frame support resistances, and then if you want to scalp, you can go on the 15-minute. You have your lines already drawn out. Look for supply demand zones, look for order blocks. You can draw fibs for confluence, look for patterns, right? So if you have, let's say, three confluences for your bullish thesis, okay, and you see one bearish thesis, let's say you're seeing like a bearish pattern, right? But on a higher time frame, you're seeing something bullish. Anything on a higher time frame is going to trump that on a lower time frame. Okay, so if you're scalping like a 15-minute bear flag, right, but on a 4 hour it actually looks like a retest of support, right, you probably don't want to take that short. And if you're going to take it, you're going to use smaller position size, right? So anything on a higher time frame is going to trump that on a lower time frame. Now, if on the same time frame you're seeing multiple confluences that are going against your bias, so if you see something that has a bull flag, and you also see a demand zone, but it also looks like a head and shoulders or a downtrend, right? Those things cancel each other out. So if you are seeing multiple bullish confluences over bearish confluences, then you most likely want to take a long. But if you see, three bullish confluences and like maybe two, you still have that one extra confluence on your bullish thesis to help you take that trade, right? So this is what I do. I cancel, and then whatever's left, that's net, either net short or net long, then I will take that trade, right? But there's all other factors that go into my trade, right? I take a look at USDT dominance, the dollar index, Bitcoin dominance, how the market's doing, S&P 500, right? ES, like everything. I take all these into accounts before I enter a trade. Um, when Bitcoin's consolidating, you want to focus on alts. When Bitcoin dominance is rising, you want to not focus on alts. There's a whole bunch of things that go into this, right? So although I just trade based off support and resistance lines, the full analysis comes like all together. Um, One sec. I want to go over a coin one of my students had. Matt, where is your coin, brother? Injective. Last card. Last trade. Okay. So you had, and Matt, if you're here, um, this one's for you. If you're not, I'll shout you out in the class. Last. Okay. So injective has broken down. Here was previously resistance, right? We flipped it to support. We are currently on that support line. Here is your supply zone. There is resistance. Order block. Also an SR point. Okay. The golden pockets here. 0.5 fib is also at support level. Nice. So my supply zone lines up with the golden pocket. Okay. We bounce right from that fib. Um, there is an SR level here. This should be in confluence with the rejection. If we do go up to here, that's where I'm planning to take a short. I have my confluence, right? There's my SR level. There's my supply zone, golden pocket confluence. Um, 4 hour just closed. So let's see what happens. We've broken trend line. Let's see if we retest it. This one has taken liquidity from this low here. So if you're taking a long scalp, this would be your long scalp. It's a very tight risk. I'm not trading anything right now. The market still looks heavy to me, but we had a low time frame or 4 hour swing failure there. Um, it's a 4 cent stop loss. People shouldn't be losing houses on this. Right, so if it goes here, rejects, closes below, short, stop loss somewhere above here. Otherwise, we reclaim it. I'll take that short. Possible long attempt at this order block. And those are the three setups that I currently see for injective. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, see, soul bounced where it had to, right? So again, range lows, range highs. You'll play the range lows until broken, you'll short range highs until broken, and you'll just play it that way until one side gives. Injective already bouncing a little bit. Alright guys, so that's it for today's lesson. I'm going to stop recording here. I will upload this onto